Hey, this is Cliff from Bedwood and Parts.
And this is Cody.
Boss went out of town for a few days. He made the mistake of leaving his 57 Chevy 3100 truck in our hands. So while he's gone, we're gonna go ahead and do a complete bedwood kit in this. We're gonna be taking the old bed out and installing one of our ASH BedWood kits.
But before we get to that part, we have to do some demolition.
Absolutely.
All right.
We've already taken the spare tire off, so we have access to everything underneath. Now we're gonna drop the tailgate.
All right, so what we have here, our boss has it covered up right now just to keep it protected as much as possible, but we're gonna go ahead and remove this, get down to the original bedwood so that we can go ahead and start ripping that out and being able to replace it with the new. All right, so right here we have the original wood that came with this vehicle and all of the original hardware. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually rip out the pre-existing wood and we're going to be reusing all of the hardware. So we're going to save all of that so for our new wood, but the old wood, that's now firewood. So this here is our original wood. As you can see, we've got some holes in it. All of these strips are going to be the same ones that we used for the new wood, but all of this old wood is going to get removed and trashed.
All right, so we've got the bed out of the truck. We got all the wood and the strips out. It took a little bit of effort because, of course, this is a 66-year-old truck. Stuff's hard to get to, and it took a little bit of effort. Overall, not too bad, but that's all going to depend on the condition of your truck and your fasteners and everything.
And one thing to keep in mind is when you are taking this apart, as you can see, we have these blocked up with 3/4 inch pieces of wood. 3/4 inch thick is about what the standard bedwood kit is going to be. So just grabbing a spare piece just to prop up underneath, just to keep your bed up. As you are taking the bolts out of the sides and the bed to frame bolts, what you're going to notice is if you don't, your bed's going to drop. So make sure to keep it propped up so that it's easier to get your new bedwood kit in once you get started with that. Now, another thing to keep in mind is when you are removing, as you can tell, we don't have the original bed strips on the vehicle anymore. With that, the bed strips were a little bit warped, so we decided to go ahead and get those replaced. We are going to be replacing those with brand new mild steel bed strips and new hardware once we get to that point.
Also, it's worth mentioning, to follow on with Cody's pointing out the blocks there, we also left the bed to frame mounts and the angle strips mounted in the front of the bed to hold that all square while we're waiting for the new bed to come in.
So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the new kit and we're going to start unpacking that and showing you what's going to be entailed inside of the box. But as we're going to do that, we are going to show you just a quick up close and personal with this vehicle, just to kind of show you some of the things that we kind of were talking about beforehand.
All right, so we've got the blocks on top of the bed frame rails after we disconnected, took out all the fasteners holding the strips and the wood in place. These just kind of float. So we wanted to put the blocks in here to hold everything in place so the bed doesn't flop around and everything while we're waiting to install the new kit.
So as you can see, we still have a couple of these bolts in place like Cliff was saying earlier. Main reason for this is just to keep everything right where it needs to be. As you can see, there is a gap in between where the bolt and the actual side rail start to get together. With that, it is important to keep at least something there so that your bed does not fall apart before you actually get the new wood in.
All right, so we have received our bedwood kit from the production team. It's going to arrive at your house or your shop or whatever in a big long box like this. We ship UPS, UPS Freight, FedEx, stuff like that. But this is what it will probably look like when it arrives. Make sure you inspect the package for any damage or anything before you open it, and make sure nothing's been tossed around or broken.
And if it has been, If it has been damaged in transit, what we do ask for you to do is before you start opening things up, just let us know. Get in touch with us. Give us a call here at BedWood. We do need pictures of absolutely everything from the packaging on the outside to the packaging on the inside, and then anything that was damaged, we would need ample pictures for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to readjust here. We're going to move this down to where we can actually show it a bit better and show you guys exactly what's going to entail inside of the box and what you're going to get when you get your BedWood kit. All right, so what we have here is we have our box, and before I get too far into it, I just want to show you guys a few things that you're going to be getting when you actually do get your BedWood kit. So first things first is you're going to receive a couple things in a packing slip. First thing is just one, we want to thank you guys for your purchase with us here at BedWood. Gives you a little bit of information here that if once you get your BedWood in, if you would like to send us pictures, we'd love to get that, get it up on our website. And then the other thing you're going to get is instructions on basically how to get this BedWood kit into your vehicle. So you're going to get instructions on how to square your bed, as well as the process you're going to need to take in order to get this in as a good fit. So we're just going to set these to the side for now. And we're going to go ahead and show you guys what is going to come inside of your BedWood box. So here we have a couple things. First off, you're going to get something that's really well packaged. We take every precaution when putting together a BedWood kit and sending it out that it does not get damaged in transition to you. First off, you're going to have all of your hardware. This is everything you will need in order to put your kit fully together. So we do not want to lose that, so we're just going to set that aside for now. And then what you're also going to find are just a couple pieces here, just to make sure that your kit does not move in transition to you. Let's go ahead and lift this up. Now, I do recommend doing this with 2 people, just because this is not a light kit. It's about 100 pounds or so, and you definitely don't want to drop your kit and have it damaged. So when you get it, you're going to get it cellophane just like this. It is going to have some protective paper on it just to make sure that the boards don't slide around. It will be cellophaned, and then on the ends here, as you can see where Cliff is, we have it bubble wrapped and cellophane together so that it does not move at all in transition to you. So we're going to go ahead and bust this open, and if you take it with a knife, just be careful not to cut your BedWood itself. All right, so here's our first look at our BedWood kit. And as you can see, everything is packaged really nicely. We have our pre-drilled holes in it, and this was finished in our with our production. So it is ready to go in, and everything is fully finished. And as you can see, this is not just the raw wood. All right, guys, so we are now at the point where we've put our perimeter boards in. We've also hand tightened just slightly all of our bolts just to make sure that it sits in place. First off, what we had to do is we had to square off the bed. Now, in the packaging that you receive, you are going to get instructions on the easiest way to do it, which is measure from the front driver's side in a couple feet, and then down the side of the bed in a couple feet, and then measure that full length. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to make sure that your bed is completely square. Now, one thing that I do recommend is that you do one side at a time. So again, we had the boards placed at our main cross members here. What we had to do is we had to actually lift up on the side of the bed, remove those, and then put our board in. So again, start with one side, work your way to the other. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our wood and we're going to lay it back in the bed where it's supposed to be. During the time that we actually put the wood in, we are going to need to leave just a slight gap in between each piece of wood, just for your bed strips to actually lay down. Now, we are not going to tighten or put any bolts in right off the bat. What we're going to do is we're just going to lay everything out, make sure that everything is starting from the center, working our way out. Another thing that you will need to do is mark your center spot in the middle of the bed. So when you get started, just take a measurement between the two sides in the back, make a mark of where your center line is, start there and work your way out.
Okay, so we've got the bed, the planks in place. We went by, they're all numbered as we mentioned earlier, so we put them down in order of how they're numbered. We now have the bed strips in place too. Nothing's been tightened down. All we've got in so far are the perimeter bolts, and like Cody said, they're just finger tight. So right now we're just checking for fitment. Everything looks pretty good, so I think we're almost ready to start putting in the bed to frame bolts and bolt everything down.
Now, the other thing to keep in mind is when you are putting this together, you may have to adjust some of the boards. A lot of times we get asked, you know, when you are looking at the bed strips, you kind of see a little bit of a gap in between the sides. That is normal. So when you're putting these down, as you can kind of see, there's a little bit of a play with it. We can move these boards back and forth just slightly in order to make sure that everything gets put in correctly. So another thing that you might want to have on hand is a small little pry bar, not to pry the wood or anything like that, but just to help with spacing. You can go out in from underneath and just kind of adjust the spacing from there. All right, so now we have the wood in the bed. We actually have everything tightened in. One thing that you will notice is we've went ahead and changed the back panel as well. That was something that our boss wanted once we actually got started. So we did take everything out, took the bolts out, replaced the back panel, then put everything back in. Again, we start from the center, work our way to the outside edges, got all of the bolts finger tighted, got underneath, made sure the spacing was right. Another thing that you'll notice is we do not have the bed to frame bolts in currently. What we had to do was once we got the back panel in, we did have to adjust the bed to make sure that everything was square. Now that we have everything in, it is tightened down. We have the bed square, all of the wood looks straight. Next thing to do is to go ahead and put the bed to frame bolts in, get everything adjusted where it needs to go, and lock everything in place.
Couple things to look for when you're putting the bed in. Make sure your gaps are all even on the back here by the tailgate. That'll tell you if your bed's out of square or anything. The 3, 4, 5 method of measuring your bed to make it square is a pretty good one. We also used a framing square up in the corners of the bed to make sure everything's straight, measured from stake pocket to stake pocket. A couple different ways to do it. But also, there's on these step-side trucks, there's a bracket from the step to the frame that will need to be loosened on each side so you can wiggle the bed around just a little bit to get it perfectly aligned. So something to look out for as well. All right, we've got the bed aligned on the frame. The bed to frame bolts are in. Took a little finagling and everything, but we get them. They will go in if you get everything right and your bed is square. Everything else is pretty much done. We tightened up those brackets for the steps on the bed. So yeah, I think we're pretty much done, ready to show it off.
Perfect. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to do a final reveal. We're going to drop the tailgate, show you guys exactly what this bed went from to what it looks like now.